So today's NFL Mailbag is presented by Manscaped. Cody Douglas, you look like a guy that could use some Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com/chat where you can save 20% off and get free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. So we're doing this NFL Mailbag live on Wednesday, and hopefully everyone's getting their questions in. Cody Douglas is the Dolphins' third pick is worth 2 first on the trade value chart, right? So Tua, 3-18, next year's second is fair for Watson. No.
Oh, I thought you were saying no to him. I forgot.
No, he's saying no.
You have to have an upward inflection. No.
Oh.
Like, otherwise, it just sounds like you're saying no.
My bad.
In the end, I think Cody's right here.
Okay.
Again, maybe you don't want to break it down as, it's worth 2 firsts or whatever, because you could argue the Jets' first is worth 2 firsts as well. But, yes, in the sense that number 3 overall pick is worth a lot more than a normal first-round selection. So because of that, I do think that is a very fair offer for Deshaun Watson. And maybe it ends up being this year's second as opposed to next year's second because future picks aren't worth as much. But if they value Tua as a potential franchise quarterback, I go with, Cody, I think that's a pretty fair value eval of Watson's trade value.
Next Super Chat's from Dwayne Jackson. Before we get into this one, Tom, I want to give a special shout-out to the Lunatic and Jaden Henderson for their Super Chats. If the Cowboys tag Dak again like Kirk Cousins was, are the Cowboys risking losing Dak leaving after next season if he balls out?
Yeah. If they don't work out a deal this offseason with Dak Prescott.
It's 39 this year, and then it's
56
or something
38.
Crazy?
It's something ungodly with the way the franchise tag works. So they won't be able to tag him. That's the reality. They cannot afford to do it because it's so ridiculously priced. That's the purpose of the
It goes up to $56 million.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So best case is it's an Amari Cooper type scenario where they let their superstar player hit free agency for God knows why. A different team shows up and offers more, and in the end the player says, I'm going to stick in Dallas. That is the best case scenario for the Cowboys if they don't get a deal done with Dak Prescott this offseason. That's the reality.
Dwayne, if you find that you want to get your balls out, go get the perfect package, manscaped.com/chat. All right, let's go to explain why. Okay, we'll try. Wentz to the Colts since baby Macon Rivers is retiring.
Baby Macon Rivers.
I don't think he even has a kid. So, yes, we do know that the Indianapolis Colts, they will not have Phillip Rivers anymore because he's decided to retire. So, Wentz to the Colts, it's definitely been something that we've been talking about here. It does make some sense in terms of fit, but will it ultimately end up happening? That's what.
If Wentz ends up getting dealt, and I think the firing of Doug Peterson makes it less likely that they will, I think the Colts are the logical fit for him. Because of the Frank Reich connection, because of the need, because of the cap space, the Colts are the logical next fit. But with the way things are going, I could see Philadelphia keeping Wentz for one more year with a new coach.
So where will Wentz play in 2021? Type PHI for the Philadelphia Eagles. Type IND for the Indianapolis Colts. Or if you think it's going to be somebody else entirely, seriously, comment that team down below. Omar, you're next up here on NFL Daily, and make sure you guys are using hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. Should the Seahawks sign Aldon Smith in free agency if Carlos Dunlap does not stay?
Aldon. I don't know why you always say Aldon.
Aldon
Smith. I believe the Seahawks were one of the teams that called the Cowboys around the NFL trade deadline, pre-Dunlap, of course, about trading for Aldon Smith. If they don't keep Dunlap, he probably has to restructure his deal. It's pretty cost prohibitive with where Seattle is with their salary cap at $14-something million. I think they should call him. I think he'd be a good fit for Seattle. Gives them some boost at the pass rush spot. If it comes down to who's cheaper, it'll probably end up being Aldon. I try to keep Dunlap first and foremost, though. He made a major difference from a pass rushing perspective for that defense. I want to keep him first. If not, I do think Aldon Smith makes some sense.
Carlos, should the Seahawks trade Trey Flowers?
I mean, you can try. I just don't know what you're going to get for him. He's a backup cornerback who hasn't played that well in recent years. I think you're going to get a late-round pick at best. At that point, you're better served keeping him on your roster and having him be your 4th cornerback or whatever. I think that makes more sense in the end for Seattle.
Lots of Seahawks questions. Joseph, who are some realistic Seahawks free agent pickups?
It depends on what they end up doing with their own free agents. This could be an offseason for Seattle, as I kind of don't answer your question. They re-sign Shaquille Griffin and or Quentin Dunbar, and they pay one of their offensive linemen and find a way to bring back Carlos Dunlap, and now they're kind of more
Chris Carson.
They're figuring out Chris Carson. Now they're kind of bargain shopping. So we'll do a full Seahawks free agent targets breakdown on our Seahawks channel, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. But a lot of it's going to depend on how much money they have available. I'd be looking offensive line and secondary as well in particular.
Broke Boy plays Madden 18. Andy Dalton to the Denver Broncos. Broke Boy, if you're a fan of the Broncos channel, chatsports.com/Broncos TV if you want more content. I don't think this move makes a lot of sense.
I think
for
it
Denver.
does.
You do?
I think it makes sense if you're trying to bring in competition that's a veteran for Drew Lock.
Yeah, I don't think
like
so.
It's like you need a better backup quarterback, and you want to push Lock to be better. I think having someone in that Dalton mold actually makes a lot of sense for them.
It's not like
it's a major upgrade over Drew Lock.
It's not an upgrade.
But
over
if you're
Drew Lock.
not, are you going to draft somebody this year at quarterback? Okay, then find someone to push him, like Andy Dalton.
Is Andy Dalton really going to push Drew Lock?
Drew Lock hasn't been that good, so yeah, probably. At least gives them a veteran alternative. I think Dalton actually makes a lot of sense for Denver.
Okay. So if you guys want to go ahead and get the perfect package, 20% off and free shipping, how do you get set up? You got to go to manscaped.com/chat. So go ahead, get your hands on something nice. That way your girl can get her hands on something nicer. We're hooking you up with a 20% off deal and free shipping on the best male grooming products out there. The Lawnmower 3.0. Literally used it last night. Silky smooth, and it's got an awesome light there at the end of the tunnel, so you can get into those hard-to-reach places. It also comes with the most comfortable boxers, which Tom has on, and the traveling case as well. So if you plan on going somewhere, guess what? You can put all your awesome stuff inside this traveling case. But the boxers, probably one of our most famous products. Also, it comes with the ball toner, ball deodorant. If you don't want your under region to stink, you can go ahead and get yourself hooked up here. Their slogan is, your balls will thank you. Why? It's because they literally will. You can hear them. The perfect package can be available to you. Manscaped.com/chat. 20% off and free shipping. We will put those links in the comments. I'll also throw it down there in the description, so there's no excuses for anyone for not having that perfect package. What up, Sam? Sam Darnold to the Indianapolis Colts. Definitely a possibility up there. We broke down a video about who could be the next Colts quarterback. Sam Darnold was on that list, so Sam, I would encourage you to please go check it out. But in terms of a trade candidate, he might be the most realistic option.
I think especially if they're going to end up keeping around Wentz in Philadelphia, I do think Darnold makes a lot of sense at that point. So I am very curious to see what ends up happening with Darnold. I trade him if I'm the Jets. I take a quarterback at 2, but we'll see what they end up doing.
Let's go to Chris Cheese-It. Jalen Hurd, a dark horse in 2021.
Is he going to be healthy this time?
Probably not.
Like every year, Niners fans are like, "Oh, he's going to be the breakout guy." He's never healthy. At this point, I don't know if you're ever going to actually have that end up being the case.
What up, Darren? Saints have huge cap space problem, and Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara might become free agents.
Yeah, they just paid those guys.
I was going to say, so I don't know what you're saying.
It doesn't actually help their cap space problem to move on from them. Like, that's not really where those guys are at in relation to their current contracts. But you're right, Darren. They do have a cap space problem.
Major problem.
And I wonder if with Drew Brees retiring, after years of adding cap space now and having to pay for it later, which was the right move for New Orleans. Don't get me wrong. I wonder if this is going to be like okay, well, we kind of tried here. Now, I guess Michael Thomas, they could try to move on post June 1st if they trade him, but that doesn't make sense for them. They don't save that much money in the end. So I think what's more likely for the Saints this upcoming year might going to be like the Patriots year this season. It's kind of a punt year. If they make the playoffs, cool. If not, it's okay. They have their coach, and they'll find a way to continue building for the future as they do undergo a reset with a uncertainty at the quarterback position.
If the Saints do move on from a guy like Michael Thomas or Alvin Kamara, I promise you we're going to make a video about it. But if you guys want to get your questions featured on our shows, you got to subscribe. We only feature questions from people that are subscribed to our shows. Obviously, we don't ask for you to pay to watch our videos. We're a 100% free channel, and all we ask for is that you interact with us and once in a while join our live show.
And maybe click an ad or two.
There you go. So we go live every single Monday and Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. And if you want your questions featured on our mailbags, you have to join live. It is as simple as that. So go ahead and subscribe, hit that big red button, and turn on your notifications. That way you don't miss anything. This next one's coming in from Ty DeBear13. Should the Bears draft Mac Jones if we do not get Watson or Dak?
Maybe. I am unconvinced on Mac Jones. Yeah, they're just inside out to the top 20, however you want to phrase it. I wouldn't hate it. I'm going to make this point, though, for Chicago. Ryan Pace does not get to draft another quarterback.
Yep.
And that's like a bad situation to be in as a Bears fan because you're like, oh, but wait, what if he's good? Pace doesn't get to make the decision. Like, you cannot tie, if things are bad next year, this new head coach / GM to the old guy just took in round one. Like, that's a bad path to go down. So if I'm the Bears, unless even trading up is dangerous, you're in a weird spot. You can do it if you want. I would not be over the moon about it, though.
Got Arnold Almighty. Should the Dolphins bring in a veteran running back? Yep, like Todd Gurley or Mark Ingram. So obviously there is still a need here for Miami going out and get a running back. And you bring up Gurley and Mark Ingram, who are going to be free agent running backs. So who's the better running back? If you could pick between these two guys, would you bring in Ingram or would you bring in Todd Gurley?
Look, I know the Falcons were bad, but right around the time mid-November hit, Todd Gurley hit the wall. Yeah. Like, he sucked. Like, I hate to be so blunt about it, but I'll go rapid fire here. Here are his yards after the November 8th game against Denver. 8 for 26, 8 for 16, 6 for 19, 1 for -1, 4 for 16, 9 for... I know he was banged up. That's wash production. So this might be a Jordan Howard 2.0 thing.
Yeah.
I would prefer Mark Ingram of those two guys. If Gurley signs a one-year deal with no guaranteed money, I'm in. Otherwise, what's the point?
Got a super chat coming in here from Cody Douglas. Do you guys think Watson instantly makes Miami on the same level as Buffalo? It's a great question.
Puts him in the conversation, yeah.
I'm actually going to say yes because Miami's got a better defense. The running game is basically the exact same because Buffalo doesn't have one.
Both are bad.
Quarterback Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson. I think you could split hairs on
top
both of them.
5, top 10, wherever you want to put them.
I'm going to say yes. I think it puts them in that conversation. I would say it's Buffalo, Kansas City, and probably the Miami Dolphins, the three best teams in the AFC. Let's go to Anthony 23. What do the Ravens do at wideout?
Get somebody.
They should pick up somebody like Allen Robinson would be my number one guy on my list.
I would go after Allen Robinson.
Kenny Golladay.
I would go after a Golladay. Shit, I go after a Chris Godwin if you want to. Might not be the most ideal fit, but I'm going on the outside. They've tried it with Dez Bryant. They've tried it with Miles Boykin. They've tried it with other players. They don't have what typically fills that X role, that bigger contested catch, almost possession, but can also go vertically receiver. They don't have that guy on the roster.
Correct.
Now, it's probably not Boykin. You can get by with some combination of Willie Snead and Devin Duvernay at slot, and you can get by with Marquise Brown as your speedy vertical threat. You don't have a legit chain mover number one guy outside of kind of Mark Andrews. So at that point, I'm going with Allen Robinson. That is my first target for the Ravens in free agency. In draft, how about Rashad Bateman could also fill a similar role? Christopher
Botches, Micah Parsons, highest and lowest pick. So basically, where do you think is the highest he could go, Tom? Where's the lowest you think he could go?
A lot of this depends on what ends up happening in free agency.
Sure.
I don't think Miami would spend the number 3 overall pick on Parsons, but I think that's like the absolute max. He's not going 1 or 2. I don't think the Falcons take him. I don't think the Bengals take him. They spent 3 picks on linebackers last year. Philadelphia never goes with a linebacker, so you can probably cross them off. But maybe Detroit at 7? Probably not. They got some offensive needs, but impact linebacker. I like Carolina at 8 if they want to go defense against. They didn't take Isaiah Simmons last year. I like Denver at 9. I think the Broncos, with the way Vic Fangio can use his linebackers, I actually think the Denver Broncos is the best fit for Micah Parsons. I got coverage concerns. I got concerns about identifying and filling run fits and his instincts. He hasn't played linebacker for all that much. I think Denver would be a perfect fit for Micah Parsons. Dallas at 11 could make some sense. Dallas 10. Giants at 11, they would love a linebacker.
What about the lowest?
Lowest, I think at that point, Patriots at 15.
Okay.
Oh, Raiders at 17. Absolute floor. I think, and actually, you know what? I'll bookend it. Dolphins at 18. That's the absolute floor. So anywhere from 3 to 18, probably around that pick number 9 is going to be the sweet spot.
Got a super chat coming in from Dwayne Jackson with Mike McCarthy somewhat on the hot seat. If the Cowboys struggle next season, do you think Jerry Jones will pull the trigger on?
No.
Mid-season?
I think he gets the season.
They have to be disastrous for him to pull the plug mid-season.
I think they have to be out of the playoff altogether. Because, you saw it this year. They somehow clawed their way back into it. At that point, I think they'd give him the entire year. So I think even though McCarthy is somewhat on the hot seat, they will give him the entire season to stick around there.
I'm with you. Super chat coming in from Jaden Henderson. What do we do with Marlon Mack? So you're talking about the Indianapolis Colts. Mack's a fun running back. I actually really liked him when he first came out of South Florida. His issue is two things. Can't stay healthy, and he's not as good as Jonathan Taylor.
For the Colts, especially this past year. If he comes back on the right in the right spot,
I don't want
should
Marlon
say,
Mack
at the
back.
right call. I don't mind bringing him back. I mean, the issue is he's going to be kind of your RB3 because Taylor's your lead back. Nyheim Hines ends up being your third down type of back there. You don't want to pay big money to a number 3 guy. So I think in reality, Mack ends up leaving unless there's not much interest because of the injury, at which point maybe he's back on a very, very cheap deal.
Super chat coming in from Robbie. Clowney to the Seahawks. Think about a reunion. I actually think that's the most likely scenario for Jadeveon, honestly. I mean, he's coming off a year that he didn't play his best football, obviously. A lot of people couldn't see what he wanted to do. I anticipate him getting another 1-year type of contract, and if you're Clowney and if I was his agent, I'd say, hey, go back to a team that I still think that you can produce your best numbers with. I mean, look what Carlos Dunlap did. Carlos Dunlap really played well with Seattle. If I'm Clowney, I go to see.
I think those bridges might have been maybe not full-fledged burnt, but there's like some kindling set around it, and a match has been struck, and it's to be determined if it's on fire yet. I think the idea makes some sense. Got to be at the right cost.
Oh, for sure.
And if the money's the same between Carlos Dunlap and Clowney, I think I'm going to take Dunlap.
Okay.
He was better last year. Yeah, I'll play Clowney.
Yeah, I don't disagree with
you. Which is weird. I did not think I was going to say that in 2021. But I'm down to bring back Clowney. Has to be at the right price and substantially cheaper than what he got this past year because he didn't play as well as everyone expected him to.